Hey everyone, it's Dr. Tony Chopper here, and this is part 2 of my review of the Master Grade Sinanju. In this part, we're going to see how all of these runners turn into different limbs and accessories. Now here's the fully armorized leg. It looks really red, and completely different from the inner armor version. Now, in terms of articulation, it can turn 360 right here, and move up and down right there. There's also a nice knee bend with 180 degrees. It can bend at one point right there and another point. 1, 2. And these two pieces actually move a bit. And that's a nice touch. A really cool effect you get from that. Now for the side here, we have this thruster pod thing that comes up and can go 360. And these ball jointed thrusters can move around a little bit. Now this piece right here can come off fairly easily, this big thruster, so you might want to glue that in, or just be careful because you don't get a replacement part for that. And for the back, we have another panel that comes up like this, showing off another thruster. Now that one doesn't really move because it is on a peg. There's also another panel right down here that can move up. There's nothing underneath there, it's just an armor panel. Now, right here, the ankle armor can come up like that, and that's the only thing that moves around down there. Now, for the ankle, it can move side to side right there. It can go that way as well, and it can point up about that far until it reaches the end, and that's as far as it can go. The toe points not much further. It actually can't point any further. It can actually point down ever so slightly, if you can see that. And that's what it looks like, completely pointed down. The piston on the back actually gets covered up quite well, and that's a shame, because there's a lot of things that open up on this leg. Look at that. Now moving on to the, waist, skirt. I don't know what you want to call this, but it looks like a flower like this. And the contrast between the armored up and the unarmored up is quite drastic and big. The energy cable here is a spring, like on, most Master Grade Xeon kits. And these are all individual beads. You actually get a couple of spare ones, so you can afford to lose one or two, just make sure you don't lose a lot more than that. Now, on the back here, we have a moving part. It can come up like that and open up. And you can store, let's say the beam rifle on the back. Cool feature. And we have an action base connection point right here. These hips actually move independently, see? And you can put them in quite a few different poses. Now for here we have the movement right there. Can go up quite far, with the upper body torso right there, you won't be able to move it too much more than that. This goes up and down, doesn't really move side to side too much because there's actually a point hindering it. And this connection right here actually comes off quite a bit, like that. And that's one of the more unsturdy ones. It's just like a little peg and a hole right there. And this moves up and down a little bit as well. Here's the upper torso without any armor on. Now the upper portion, the head is on a ball joint, or at least the neck is. The neck and the head actually move together, and it can move a little bit like that, and 360 if you wanted to. Now the shoulder joint can completely pop out like that, and it can go a full 360 at that point. You actually see a nice full frontal on the inside with a nice green escape capsule. This part actually moves side to side like this and can bend up or forward and back like he's doing arm crunches. And here's the chest with all the armor on. Now the articulation doesn't really change at the neck because nothing really changed there. This still pops out a little bit, and that goes up until it hits the armor right there. Down here at the waist, we have a segment of different beads here. Now all these beads, there are replacements, so you can lose one or two, just try not to lose more than that. And this middle piece actually goes all the way around on both sides, and it's a small thin piece of plastic. ABS plastic, but it's still really thin, so be careful with that. You actually slide a spring on top, right there, if you can see that. And then afterwards you slide on the beads right there. The connection to the backpack is right there. And to open up the chest and reveal Char, full frontal, catcher vagina, whatever you want to call them, you take this piece, then you slide that piece up, and then you pull that piece down, and on the inside you have a man with a million names. So here's the arm without any armor on it. You have a nice 180 bend right there with a little bit of moving parts right here, and it can kind of come out a little bit, so you got to push it back in there with a little bit of force. Right here, right below the shoulder, it can go 360, and it can bend like that, and it bends a little bit over 90 degrees right there. Now another little cool thing right here is there's a hidden compartment that pops out, and you can hide a beam saber in there and actually have it with the blade sticking out, and you can stab people that way if you want. Now right below that is the wrist, and it can go a full 360, and it can move a little bit because it's on a big ball joint thing. Now over here, this is actually on a ball joint and can go nice 360. You can do that weird pose if you want, and it can go back like that as well if you want to palm someone in the face. Now these are the standard 3 and 3 fingers, trigger finger and a thumb. Thumb moving there, all on ball joints, all segmented at the middle. Pretty standard stuff here. Now here's the bare shoulder. We have a connection point here to the torso. It can move back and forth right there. Not much there. This can move a little bit as well, this thruster flap, and the thrusters move around a little bit because they're on ball joints. Now this part can flip open. Nice little click there. It locks into place, and you can actually mount the shield on like that. Wonder how that's going to hold up. And here is the head with all the armor on it. Looks really intimidating. You can barely see the mono eye in there, so it's kind of a waste in my opinion, but you can see enough of it. And all these look pretty nice. There's a seam line that goes right down here, but this part covers up the top half of it. And right here, the command antenna, there's a giant nub mark, if you can see that. I actually cleaned it up pretty well, but there's one right there on the side. So if you're a little bit uncareful when you're shaving it off, you might shave off a little bit too much. And again, if you move it around, if you can see that, the mono eye actually moves. Cool. Now this funny looking contraption is the backpack. Yeah, so I left one side without any armor, just so you can see the difference. A lot of mechanical detail, a lot of piping right here as well, and well, thrusters, they're on like a half a ball joint, half a peg type of deal, if you can call it that. So, moving right along. These propellant tanks move at a ball joint here, and can turn 360 if you want them to, because they're on a ball joint. This actually moves back and forth up until it hits that point, and it can move back and forth like this. Now the cool little gimmick that they added in is if you pull these parts back, it reveals a little bit more thruster. So I guess if you put it back, your Sinanju can go more than just 3 times faster, maybe you can go 6 times with all 6 of these thrusters on the back. Now, moving along to the accessories and weapons of this guy, we have a nice long beam rifle. It's actually quite tall and pretty long as well. Really, really pointy. And there's a little bit of movement on this. The scope right here can move back and forth, like this. Nothing happening there. There is the hole for the peg in the hand, just so you can hold it better. And this part pops out so you can put like the underbarrel grenade launcher, I'm going to call it, right there. Speaking of that grenade launcher, here it is. Now, there's not much to it. It's just two parts slapped on here and another part just kind of shoved in like that. Not many things happening here except it can fold like that. And we can plug it in. See, that part actually falls off a lot for me. You can plug it in like this, and here it is, with the Noob Tube Underbarrel Grenade Launcher on your gun. Call of Duty reference. Boom, boom. Yeah. Here's his second major weapon defense shield bob thing. I'm gonna call it like the Swiss Army knife of shields because it has like 15 different things you can do with it other than just protecting yourself. So it's really nice, really pointy, and well, really, really, really big. Now if we look at it on the back, there's a full inner frame there. This part moves and can connect to the arm, or it can also connect to the shoulder mount if you do it on a different way. Now right here we have a like mounting bracket for your twin beam axes. This can also slide down like this. And right here, this hollow point is where you can put the grenade launcher. So you can shoot them underneath your shield. I'm not hiding anything, I swear. Now this kit comes with two different beam axes. One has a peg in it, and the other one doesn't. And you can combine them together, making it all Darth Maul-like. They also have a little bit of articulation. They can come up like this, and they can also pivot right there. It also comes with your choice of beams. You get two of each actually, 2 long beams and 2 short beams, and you can plug them in any which way you choose. And here are the beam sabers. You get 2 of these. You can actually put these in the forearms and store them there, or you can have them deploy from there and still slash people, kind of like a Wolverine type thing. Now, there's a nice hole on these weapons, so you can peg them into the hand really, really easily, and there's a nice effect right there. These are molded into the plastic, and it comes out really cool. Now, these are all jagged edges as well, and this is not what you typically get in a beam saber at all. So, Bandai, if you're watching this, make more of this, because these are really, really cool. And that concludes part 2 of my review of the Master Grade Sinanju. In this part, we got to see all the different limbs and different weapons this kit comes with. Now, be sure to come back in the next part, where we will be looking at the kit in further detail. My name is Dr. Tony Chopper, and goodbye for now, everybody. Goodbye.